Hey guys, Brad from simpleguitar.com here. Have you ever avoided playing a song because it's in a completely different tuning, or you don't want to do things in drop D tuning? Today I'm going to show you what you need to know so that you no longer have to be afraid of tuning your guitar differently. It's a very simple thing, but it's something that a lot of beginner guitar players don't understand, and we're gonna make that really clear for you today. Now, let's be clear. Playing in standard guitar tuning is great, and everybody should be doing that. It's a lot of fun, right? So in standard guitar tuning, your first string, your highest sounding string, is tuned to an E. Your second string is tuned to B. Your third string is G. Your fourth string is D. Your fifth string is A. And your lowest sounding string, your sixth string, is another E. Okay. Now, for a lot of people, when it comes to tuning the guitar, it's just enough for them to get their guitar into standard tuning and then leave it there. And going into another tuning seems like some mystical thing that's going to be really hard, and they're afraid of it for some reason. There's no need for that. And here's the thing that you need to understand to be able to no longer be afraid of that. One, you need to understand the musical alphabet or the chromatic scale. If you do not understand the 12 notes that are in Western music, then tuning your guitar is going to seem really bizarre and strange, right? But if you can understand A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, and also the flat names for all those sharps. So you would have A, B flat, B, C, D flat, D, E flat, E, F, G flat, G, A flat, A, right? So either way, they're the same note, right? If you don't understand that musical alphabet of 12 notes, then tuning a guitar is going to seem like really ethereal and bizarre and seem like something that is hard to do. But if you understand the order of those notes, and you understand it going up, and you understand that it goes down as well, then you can use that knowledge to tune your guitar to any kind of tuning that you run into for any given song. Now, why is that? Because when you're tuning your guitar, we're tuning to one of those 12 notes. And if you understand that your E note is surrounded by F going up and then G, and if you go down, there's D sharp or E flat, and then we have D, and then we have D flat or C sharp, and then we have C, you can know what is within the range of tuning that string up to or down to, okay? And same thing with your A string. With your A string, you're surrounded by A flat or G sharp, and then G, and you've also got B flat and B up above it, right? With your D, you've got C sharp or D flat, and then C, and you've got D sharp or E flat and E above it, right? So if you just understand really quickly what are the few notes that are around each string, it's going to make it easier. Now, when it comes to first tuning your guitar to an alternate tuning, what we need to do is have you start tuning just one string at a time. And that best tuning to start out with is drop D tuning. Now, me, when I'm starting students out in their lessons, I tune them to drop D tuning, and we do stuff in drop D all the time from the very beginning. And when I have students learn how to tune their guitar, I make sure that they know how to tune to standard tuning and how to change just their sixth string so that they're in drop D tuning, and doing that frequently because we go back and forth between those two tunings, and it makes it really simple for them. So let's talk about how to do that. Normally, your E string is tuned to E, right? And so if I turn this and I go lower, if I do this, right now my tuner is telling me I'm on D sharp right there. That is a D sharp note. And I want D. Now D sharp is higher than D, so I'm going to keep lowering the pitch until I get all the way to D. Now here's the key. You don't ever turn your tuning knob without hearing the note. And you make sure that you do it slowly and you make small motions. The other day in a lesson, I saw a kid going, "Why can't I get it in tune?" Right? And so you don't do that. You keep it slow and you keep it steady, and you make sure that you can hear what you're doing, okay? So that is my D note. Now, how far did I just tune it? I tuned it one whole step down, okay? And so that way, now when I play, I have this really great sounding power chord on my lowest 3 strings, and I can play all sorts of cool stuff like this. Bonus points if you can name that song, okay? That band is on the wall here in the studio, so you can pick them out. So that's drop D tuning. Now, if you're in another tuning, all you have to do is the same thing. You take it string by string, note by note, and you understand what notes are above the note that you're on and what notes are below the note that you're on. So the next tuning that I recommend that you get familiar with is half step down tuning. Now what that is we take every single string and we tune it down 1/2 step. So if I'm on E for my low string, I'm going to tune it to E flat or D sharp. They're the same note, okay? Now my tuner by default just shows D sharp. So now this string is at D sharp. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my A string and I have to know, okay, if I'm going to go down 1/2 step for my A string, then the note right below it is G sharp or A flat. So I'm going to tune that down slowly. And there is G sharp right there. Now for D, I'm going to tune that down. And the note below that is C sharp or D flat. So it's not far. It's not a long process. Now for G, I'm going to go a little bit lower, and that note is going to be G flat or F sharp. For B, we're going to have B flat or A sharp. And then for E, we're going to have D sharp or E flat again. Now, here's the trick. I've just tuned each string once, and now that I've done each string and kind of got them there, the tension on the neck is going to be a little bit off and everything's going to go out, so I'm going to tune it again to just make sure everything is in. There we go. That doesn't sound too bad, right? So that is a 1/2 step down. So now, when I think of my chords, I still think of them as E, C, G, A, whatever, right? But if I play an E chord here, I'm really playing an E flat or a D sharp chord, right? If I play my G chord, now this is an F sharp chord or a G flat chord, right? So you can still play all the same shapes that you know from standard tuning, but everything is down a little bit. Now, why is that handy? Because you'll find entire songs that are just tuned down a 1/2 step. The entire thing. And it's impossible to play it completely correct without being in that tuning. Okay. For example, one of my favorite bands, Green Day, they recorded like their first 4 albums all tuned down a 1/2 step. And so if you really want to play it correctly, you got to tune your guitar down, right? There's workarounds around that and certain things you can do to not have to do that. But for the most part, if you want to be as authentic as possible, you got to tune down to that. Now, another really good tuning that I think everybody should be familiar with is what I call drop C sharp tuning, which is drop D tuning and then everything tuned down a 1/2 step. So I just tuned all my strings down a 1/2 step. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tune my D sharp down to a C sharp. And so this is the same idea as drop D tuning, but everything's a 1/2 step lower. And this is really popular in heavier stuff or a lot of pop punk. Not super heavy. I mean, if we get into metal stuff, you're going to get into drop B tuning and different crazy stuff like that. But it's also a very popular tuning. In fact, that song I was playing earlier, this is the actual tuning for it. So you do have to be tuned down. I'm using a lot of open strings there, so it would be impossible for me to play along with the record if I were not tuned down like this, right? So that's another one. But again, I just took each string a little bit at a time. And here's the good news. The more that you use these alternate tunings, the more that you start doing them, the less afraid of them you're going to be, and the faster you're going to be. If you remember back to when you first started tuning your guitar, probably took you forever to do it right and to get it right. And then you get it there and something's off and you have to do it again. And it felt like tuning took 20 minutes, right? But the more that you do it, the faster you get until it takes a couple seconds and then you're really good at it and you do it all the time, right? Same thing with these alternate tunings. The more that you do it, the easier it gets and the faster you get at getting to it. Now, there are lots of different kinds of alternate tunings. For example, Jimmy Page used dad-gad tuning where your 6th string is D, your 5th string is A, your 4th string is D, your 3rd string is G, but then you tune down your 2nd string to A. So your 2nd string goes down a whole step, and then you tune your 1st string down a whole step to D. And then he played that for Kashmir, right? And that's a popular guitar tuning. I know that the Doobie Brothers use it for Black Water. There's lots of places where you can use dad-gad tuning, and it's really cool and fun to play with. But there are other ones as well. There are open tunings. Keith Richards used open G tuning on his 5-string guitar because he's crazy like that. When I used to listen to Dashboard Confessional a lot, he used a lot of open D tunings. One of my favorites, though, is actually a really bizarre one, and it's from the Goo Goo Dolls, and it's what they use for Name. Because for Name, what you do is you have your 6th string tuned down to D, and then your 3rd string you tune up to A. Oh, too far. And then you tune your B string down to A. So now those 2 strings are the exact same pitch. And then your 1st string is still E. So we have D, we have A, we have D, we have A, we have another A, and then we have E. Now, this is what they play for Name. Great sounding tuning, right? But it's very unique. And honestly, I don't know another song that uses that. And when my band would cover that, I would have to tune to that live. So we'd have to have like the singer talking and I'd have to tune my other strings. It's kind of crazy, but I didn't have 14 guitars with different tunings and stuff. Anyway, what I hope you get out of this lesson is I hope that you understand the most important things for you to be able to embrace alternate tunings on the guitar. And that is understanding your musical alphabet, right? If you can memorize the English alphabet, for example, because I don't speak another language, the English alphabet has 26 letters, and we all know that backwards and forwards, hopefully. You need to understand the musical alphabet that good as well. You need to be able to go A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, and go backwards. Go A flat, G flat, F, E flat, D flat, C, B flat, A. Right? You need to be able to do that and understand that because that's going to give you the tools that you need to understand to be able to use these different tunings and demystify them, right? It's not as complicated as it may seem on the outset of things, and it's something that you can totally do. I want you to get that out of this today. If you understand your musical alphabet, if you take your time and you start getting familiar with some alternate tunings and playing some different stuff that use alternate tunings, you're going to be able to make a lot more cool sounding stuff. I mean, like I said, there are songs that you can't play unless you're in an alternate tuning. So I hope that you'll go out and you'll have fun with some alternate tunings and play some new songs in those alternate tunings. And don't be afraid of it. Okay. If you see something with an alternate tuning, don't be like, oh, I'm not going to play that. Just try it. Do it. Have fun with it. Embrace that challenge, and you're going to grow as a guitar player from it. So I hope that was helpful for you. If it was, I have another gift for you as well at my website. If you haven't gotten it already, it is called the Top 10 Things to Learn on Guitar First. You go to simpleguitar.com/top10 and download that guide. It's 10 things that will get you a lot of bang for your buck and get you playing a lot of real music and having a lot of fun. Now, it's a 17-page PDF, but along with that, there's a video for each point in the guide. that you can click to. There's a link in the PDF that you can go watch all those videos so you can go even deeper with them, just because I'm trying to help you make learning guitar simple. So have fun. Go get that guide for free at simpleguitar.com/top10. Go play some alternate tunings, and then I will see you in the next video.